Oh yeah, that's not gonna work. Gotta fix that. Okay. That might be okay. I don't know. Hi. Alright. Figured that with all of the controversy apparently going on in my video posts tonight for my live, I might try to give a little bit more of my own personal backstory. Because apparently there's questions that people don't want to ask, apparently. It doesn't make sense, but okay. I am 48 years old, and I just spent the last 32 years being involved in relationships that lasted 16 years each. In the last 22 years, I was a stay-at-home mom. I took care of my home, I took care of my kids, and I took care of my ex significant others. My ex-husband was a insulin dependent diabetic, so I stayed home for the most part because I couldn't leave my kids unattended with him because he didn't do a very good job of taking care of his diabetes, which meant that he had issues to where he had sugar spells. So I was more comfortable being the stay-at-home mom. So when that marriage ended because he left me for a woman that was 14 years older than me, I ended up involved in another relationship that lasted also 16 years. And he ended up being a very narcissistic, alcoholic, drug addict, and I thought I could fix him. Well, after raising my kids and doing everything that I thought was supposed to be done, we had planned on a life together once the nest was empty of loading up in his semi and going over the road because, we had already fought and got through most of the drama, trauma, and bullshit that we went through the first. Well, it took 12 years to get him to quit drinking, and then the last 3 or 4 years we got along better, but it still didn't really work out. Oh, thank you, Paul. Thank you. What people don't seem to understand is that with my backstory, I've been through a lot, and I've had a lot of loss. At one point, I left my relationship to go take care of my sister, who was disabled, and unfortunately, we lost her in 2019. And when she passed away, I ended up with nowhere to go, and the only person offering me a place to stay was my ex. So I reluctantly ended up back in a relationship that I was not happy in, and that's where I was when the pandemic hit. And so it worked in his favor to where he isolated me away from everybody and everything. I was not happy and not being productive. I was depressed. I was being held hostage in some ways. I mean, not completely. Hi, it's nice to meet you too. I told him that I wasn't happy with him, that I would have rather not had to live with him again, but I didn't have any options. And my grown son, who was 21 or 20 years old at the time, he has ADHD and a history of epilepsy. So, yeah, we didn't really have a whole lot of options, and things were closing down. So, going and finding work wasn't really something, and we were both terrified of COVID. So, when I explained to the ex that I didn't really want to end up back with him, he gave me the option that we could be roommates. Yeah, roommates. But then he reminded me that I needed to leave sex on the table, or else I could find somewhere else to stay. So I was confined into that for like 3 years. So in 2022, when my brother passed away, I came to check on my dad. It was July. And when I walked in and seen the condition that my father, at 85 years old, was living in, I walked through the door and I never left. I found my dad here with no food, nobody to help him, and he had two black eyes from where he had had a really nasty fall. And I couldn't leave. And at the time, my boyfriend understood, and for 4 months, we were still together while I was staying here taking care of my dad. But after 4 months is when he decided that after 16 years, me being here taking care of my dad, instead of trying to go get a job to help him pay his bills and his debt that had nothing to do with me, it was too painful for him to be in a relationship with me, apparently with me taking care of my dad, who could no longer take care of himself. So I signed on to take on my dad full time because he couldn't keep his balance. He couldn't prepare his own meals. He couldn't, at that point, he was barely able to get up and go to the bathroom on his own. And so I spent the last year and a half here taking care of my dad full time because he needed me. So I did. I took care of him. He just passed away in November. I'm still dealing with it because I was the only one taking care of him. And now that he's gone, I am left empty handed because I had poured everything into a 16-year relationship with a man who decided to abandon me while I was taking care of my dad. And that is why now I am without a job, without a place to go, and I can't keep this apartment because I wasn't on the lease. I was just listed as a caregiver. So, I'm not disabled and I'm not elderly, and this is a specific community for just that. And so, now I have to figure out where to go and what to do from here with no work history to speak of and no family and friends to support me because I don't have friends in this town anymore. My family, oh, the irony on that. The one cousin that I was relying on when I first got here doesn't speak to me anymore because she's now living with the ex that decided it was too painful to be with me while I'm taking care of my dad. So, because of him, she's not speaking to me because he can't rewrite history and make me out to be the bad guy if she can actually ask me questions and I can correct his lies. So, I'm basically on my own by myself. My son lives in Texas and is too far away, and he can't afford for me to come there because he and his girlfriend, they have two kids that they're taking care of, and I don't want to be down there and be a burden on them even for a minute. So one of the co-creators, we follow each other on here, she suggested that if I can't find a place to go, that she wants me to try my best to get to Florida where she lives because she has a house and she has a spare room. That is what the GoFundMe is for. Because right now I could go and try to find a job, but I don't think they'll hire me after being a stay-at-home mother and a caregiver for my family for the last 22 years. I want to start over. I want to try to do things, and I'm trying my best to get into things here to stay here, but it doesn't look like it's going to pan out in time. And so everyone is telling me that Florida is probably the better bet because there I can help and be an asset, not just a burden to the lady that has offered me the place to stay. I don't want anybody to donate or give me anything that they can't afford. Apparently, people are attacking me in my posts because I've asked for help. I'm not trying to be a charity case. I'm just in a bind to where I don't know what else to do. And a friend of mine insisted that I put up a GoFundMe because that was the only way she knew how to donate to me, and she figured other people would want to help me because I really am a good person and I'm just trying to do the right things here. Yes, Holly, I know. And yeah, I was just trying to give my backstory so that people who are questioning it and thinking that I'm just trying to beg for money for no reason get an idea of where I'm coming from and that I'm actually trying to better myself because I didn't know. I have a PayPal. Unfortunately, I don't have a Cash App because I got scammed a few months ago. It's been almost almost 6 months ago. I don't have a Cash App anymore because somebody sent me a ACH transfer that got returned, and instead of making me pay the money back, they closed out my Cash App and said I can't have it anymore. But hi Bree. I just not necessarily trying to defend myself. I just wanted to explain myself so that if anyone else gets the wrong idea because of the videos that I've posted, I am not trying to swindle anybody or anything like that. I really am not. I'm used to being the one who is in the position of helping. I've always been the one that helped everyone else in my family. I did not know it was this hard to actually have to humble myself to ask for help. I don't know how people do it because it is really stressful. I don't like it at all. It's the worst feeling in the world. And if I have any say in it, I will get back on top to where I will be the one actually dispensing help and not having to ask for it. Okay. Right now, I've got donations that are waiting to be processed. A friend of mine that I've talked to for the last year sent me some money to help make sure that I have provisions, food, and stuff because I've applied for SNAP benefits. I got to finish that up. I think I got to do an interview or something. I am trying everything I can to I have to vacate and clean this place up and dispense with my dad's belongings. I've just been really scatterbrained and not able to focus too much on anything specific. I've been all over the place as far as knowing what I gotta do and then having to try to put things in place to get it done. I never dreamt that I never thought that I was actually ever going to be alone. It's hard. And to answer any questions about my appearance, I do have makeup on. And I do have a filter on, but it's just a gentle glow. All that does is take the freckles away or whatever. These are my eyes. My cheeks are natural. Um, the filter thing is a little off. It just looks weird. But yeah, um, anybody that comes across my videos on their FYP, if you don't know my backstory, please feel free to ask questions instead of just making rude accusations. I know that's probably too much to ask, but someone accused me of basically wanting to ask and beg for money, and that once I got to Florida that I would actually continue doing so, and no, that's not the case. Oh, tell Hunter I love him. Yeah, I never thought that being the baby of the family meant that I was going to be the only one left. And I especially didn't think that I was going to be the one taking care of everybody when they died. But other than, oh goodness. I'm glad you're in here, Hunter, but man, you're making me cry more. Quit. I have my moments. There's days when I'm really strong and I feel like I've got it all figured out, and then there's days when it just it's overwhelming. And then realizing that Christmas is coming and I have no family anymore. It wasn't what I thought it was gonna be. Oh, okay. I gotta pull it back together. Oh, oh well, thank you, Hunter. I just hope that I can find a way to make it work. That's all I want. I just want to find a way to make it work. I don't want to be in a position like this ever again if I can keep from it. Tim, I've got a lot on my plate, and there's a lot of people I haven't messaged back. But yeah, it just I hope so. Because I honestly do believe that that's how I came to be here. Hey, Junebug. But yeah, it all, like I said, it all started when I came to visit my dad after my brother passed away. And realizing that when I will. But yeah, God works in such mysterious ways. He really does. I feel like I was in a bad place with the toxic relationship that I was in, and I do feel like God finally got tired of me not listening and staying away from the situation I was in. And so, yeah, my personal belief is that he just simply said, you know what, little girl, you are not listening to me when I tell you to get out of that. And so, what he did was he used my dad, the one person on the planet that God knew I would not turn my back on. He knew that I would not say no to my daddy. And so, he used him to get me out of a place that I never should have been. I believe that with everything, that I got away from being where I was because God wanted me the hell out of there. And he used my dad to convince me that I didn't need to be there. So with being here and taking care of my dad, I finally ended the ties with the toxic narcissistic ex. And without that, I don't think I ever would have. And now it's time to close the chapter on being the caregiver for my family and try to put the focus on me. Um, God puts things in our lives and God removes things from our lives in the most mysterious ways. I love my daughter and I miss my grandkids like crazy, but with being able to focus on myself and take care of just me, I know that maybe eventually one day I'll have a relationship with my daughter again, but for now, with my mental health, for my own sake, I know that my daughter would not be good for me because she was one of the ones who was taking advantage of me in ways that I wasn't aware as well. Um, so eventually, I will try to get a relationship back with her, but for right now, I'm not in a position to. And she's thriving in her life without me, and I'm proud of her. And I'm not mad at her for cutting me out. I know, baby. I know. That's the goal, to eventually get back to where I can relocate closer to you all anyway. But for now, I have to be somewhere where I'm on my own. I know, Hunter, I know. And yes, Tim, I'm sorry for your losses too. I know one thing, it has definitely taught me who my real friends are and who my real family are, because I know not to keep being there for some that don't ever want to be there for me. I have other family, I don't get along with them. We don't see eye to eye on so many things. Um, and in a couple of years, I'm wondering what's going to happen with my nephew, because I have a nephew who he's in prison for murder, and eventually in the next 3 years, I think he has a chance to come up for parole. I don't know where that kid's gonna go. I mean, he's not a kid anymore, but to me, he'll always be a kid. I hope his sisters have him because I don't think I'll be able to. Hey, June. Oh, don't be texting and driving. June is the lady that's in Florida that's offered me a place to go. Oh, nothing. I was just giving my backstory. I figured it was time to open up and tell more people about it if they're willing to listen because I know, Hunter, I know. As long as you're sitting in the car, don't be out like literally driving, lady. But yeah, with the misunderstanding about the GoFundMe, I figured it was time to just go ahead and actually. I had to do the hour for the agency anyway, so I figured it would be a good opportunity to get on and tell my story to where people know that. Oh, okay, June. But to let people know that I am a good person and that I'm not out here trying to beg and bum for money because I'm not that way. I didn't want to put the GoFundMe up. Actually, a friend of mine on here insisted on it. But I do have a PayPal account if you don't want to fool with the GoFundMe. And like I said, if you don't have it, please do not donate. I don't want people putting themselves out for me because you don't know me like that. You know what? He probably will. I think that once things start coming around, they're both going to realize that they're not good for each other either. But that's okay, because it's not my monkey, it's not my circus. Yeah, not my monkeys, not my circus. It just amazes me at how quickly she became what they call, the medical term is a flying monkey. When people that are your family, your friends, that are close, they're part of your support system, when they suddenly flip and start taking the side of the narcissist, the abusive person, they are literally called flying monkeys, and I never thought in a million years that my cousin would become one. To the point of that she cut ties with me. When she ironically had cut ties with me before when I was with him because she didn't like him. She couldn't stand him because of the shit that he had done to me. And then now we're still not speaking because she's decided to put all of her eggs into his basket. But he thinks that she is different than me. No, that is not cheek filler. Oh, LaDonna, nah, that's bad. But he turned his kid and one of my friends from before, he turned them on me as well. Apparently now I'm to blame for everything. Everything that ever went wrong in his and his child's life is all my fault now. And I found that hilarious considering he is to blame for the reason. Right, I still love my cousin. To be honest with you, I still love my ex because I was with him for 16 years. I don't wish him any ill will. Although I kind of sort of did make him lose his job, but that was because he kept blaming me for everything anyway, so I did something for him to blame me for, but that was completely personal between me and him. I'm not normally that kind of person. I've never done that before, but I basically told him that my mother always taught me to put things back the way I found them. Well, when I found him, he was homeless and without a job. I kind of sort of put him back without a job. Oh, thank you. So, yeah. According to him, he's blamed me for all the other jobs that he lost when he got fired for stealing time. Yeah, shame on me. I shouldn't have made him do that. Or he lost other jobs because he couldn't pass a drug test. Oh, shame on me. I shouldn't have made him do that either. I mean, he almost lost one because of his drinking problem. I shouldn't have let him get so drunk, I guess, since, everything is my fault. I hate that, and I don't miss it at all as far as being with somebody who wants to play the blame game all the time. It was never okay to just simply say, okay, that happened, let it go and move on. No, he always wanted to dodge the blame that was fully his and put the blame elsewhere. Right, it can never be their fault. He told me that he's almost 50 years old and has nothing to show for it, and that was all my fault. The years of drinking and wasting money that he didn't have and stealing money from me, that had nothing to do with it, right? Right. That, and then the whole conforming to it. Oh my God, I was never allowed to be mad. I was never allowed to be upset. I was never allowed to be sad. If it was anything that he could feed off of negative, he would take it and magnify it. He would blow it up and be screaming in my face because he couldn't handle me having emotions that were not always positive. I remember he was with me when my mother passed away, and I literally, the day before the funeral, he blew up at me and told me that I needed to get on with it already because I was so depressed and grieving my mother that I wasn't keeping the house taken care of. I wasn't cooking meals. I wasn't doing dishes. I wasn't doing all that because I was grieving. And he told me that it had been long enough that I needed to get on with it already. It was just so many things that I put up with and I made excuses for. And I look back now and I realize I was being abused. Literally. And I went through everything with that man. We went through being homeless. We were homeless and staying pillar to post with family and friends. My family, my friends, because Lord knows his family didn't lift a finger to help us. But yet I was the bad guy in that too because I actually didn't like having to socialize and be around his family because they never helped us. And I always hoped that it would get better. I always hoped that he would change and be the better person that I thought he could be. He improved on some things. He did finally quit drinking, but I don't even know what they're talking about. Right. Wild man. Right, exactly. In some things it did get better, but in a lot of ways it got worse. And that was the point where I was glad that it was over. I was glad that he was leaving. I'm actually tickled that he's with my cousin because as long as he's with her, that means he's leaving me alone. And the fact that he found out that I did send the email that cost him his job, I was so, so happy that he decided to not try to come back because he did try to come back. I ended up in a bind over the electric bill. My dad, I didn't have the money. My dad's account got frozen. I eventually got it unfrozen. But he came back and helped me with $100, to which, once I got the money unfrozen, I paid him back. I gave him $300 to say thank you, because that was my way of saying thank you for the money, and the money is all I wanted. That's all I needed. I didn't want anything to do with him in that way, and that's when I actually suggested that he go find my cousin. But yeah, But I didn't plan for them to decide to date and move in together. So yeah, that's another thing too. But yeah, I just I'm single. I'm on my own. I'm happier now. Right. I used to would have already been in fits trying to figure out a way to get back into his life. I would have been figuring out ways to try to get him to come back to me, and I'm not doing that now. I'm not doing that this time at all. I'm actually relieved that I don't have him and his guns and his weed and his whatever. I'm actually relieved that I don't have to put up with that anymore, realizing I shouldn't have been putting up with it to start with, and I'm never going back to anything like that. I will stay single for from now on before I ever settle for something less than what I deserve again, because I've always had to try to fix people. I was always convinced that I could get them to stop drinking or stop doing drugs and to be a better person, to be more responsible. I shouldn't have to do that. And unless I can find somebody to meet me where I'm at on being sober and clean and drug free, I don't want it again. I don't want anybody who is on the wagon. I don't want anybody that needs the wagon. I want somebody that has no use for the wagon. I want somebody who, I'd like to meet somebody who actually has their life together better than I do, but I'm not banking on that either because I don't want to ever be accused of doing what my ex did, which was, being homeless and without a job and a means. I don't want to be accused of using somebody, jumping into a relationship for those necessities. I do smoke cigars. I smoke little cheap cigars, but I used to smoke cigarettes, but I got switched. Now I don't like the smell of cigarettes. I don't like the taste of a cigarette, but I do smoke my cigars. But in my defense, the cigars are really, really cheap. They're only like $1.50 a pack, so I'm not wasting a whole lot of money that I don't have. I hope so. I really do. I am in Kentucky. I am about 12 miles south of Lexington. Pretty much lived here off and on my whole life, grew up here. We moved away. I gave up my home, my car, and everything to go live with the boyfriend at the time when we went to Columbus, Indiana, because he had a really good job working with Cummins. And he managed to piss that away, blamed me for it. From there, we ended up back here in Kentucky for a while. Oh, you're in Florida. The friend that was wanting me to come to Florida, she's in Jacksonville. I'm not really sure how to get there, but that's the destination I'm supposed to be. If I got approved for somehow I got approved for Section 8, but I'm not sure if they're going to let me have it and keep it because I did have my dad on there with me when I originally filed for it. Oh, you're in Tennessee. I think I have family in Tennessee, but I don't communicate with them. I have a cousin I think that lives there. Um, After my mom died and then her mom died, we haven't spoken because she was supposed to pay my dad money and didn't. It was confusing, complicated story. Um, but yeah, I don't associate with them. Um, Partly because she's a drug addict as well, which my brother was. I don't like being around people who abuse drugs. I'm trying to hang in there. I really am. I mean, I do a mental health check-in every night or almost every night. I don't always go because I go in and I tell them my story like I'm doing now, and I end up crying on camera in front of people, and it's kind of embarrassing. But it's hard not to when dealing with emotions and your mental health and things of that nature. But as far as, they always ask what number do you rate yourself between a 1 and a 10, where your mental health is with everything. And I tell them I'm usually around a 7 or an 8. Sometimes it's a hard 8, but it's an 8. Um, because I refuse to be defeated. I refuse to just give up. I am still hopeful that with everything that I am trying to get done, that some things come through and that I'm able to get back up on my feet and stay there. If everything that I've got going works out, I will be fine. It's just a matter of the hurry up and wait mode that's killing me because I hate not knowing what's coming or not coming. I'd like to know for sure if it's not coming. Well, thank you. Yeah, I'm trying. Um, I still may venture out and try to see what I can do. Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. I find so many people with such big hearts on here that it amazes me. I wish I had found TikTok a lot sooner. Um, it's crazy because I actually was on TikTok before I got on TikTok. Um, one of the creators had snagged a tweet that I had from Twitter and used me in one of their videos with complaining and going against Daniel Cameron. I don't know if you all are familiar with Kentucky's politics, but we have an attorney general here that is just demon spawn. I can't stand the man. And yeah, it just. But she had grabbed one of my tweets where I was complaining about how he purposely let the cops that shot and killed Breonna Taylor get off scot free. They didn't even get taken to trial. I don't know if y'all know the FBI came in and redid that whole thing, and they are facing consequences now. But because of Daniel Cameron, the grand jury never even contemplated whether to press charges against these officers or not. He wasn't doing his job. But I tweeted against him on that, and this lady took my tweet and she made a whole video on TikTok about it. And so, in order to comment back or add to it, it was crazy because a friend of mine messaged me with the link to it, and I didn't know what TikTok was. And she was like, "Here, this is you." And I was like, "Okay, did you get hacked? Because I don't know what kind of link you just sent me. I was afraid to click it." She said, "No, click the link. It's TikTok. You're on there." I was like, "No, I'm not." So I clicked it, and sure enough, a lot of people who message me are fake. Oh man, I piss people. I piss them off because I am automatically throw the accusation out. And the reason why I know that they're fake is because they get offended. It pisses them off. I can't imagine any man or woman that is from here that's real getting offended whenever I'm like, okay, you're probably talking to me from a fake account. I know that if somebody asked me that, I would laugh and prove to them, even if it meant getting on a video call, I would prove myself to be real. These people do not. And the ones that have tried to is hilarious because they'll get on a voice call. It cracks me up because they'll say, "Oh, I'm from Italy," or "I'm from Germany." No, a Nigerian accent is Nigerian. I'm sorry, it doesn't sound anything like a German accent. It doesn't sound anything like an Italian accent. But yeah, I get bored sometimes and I mess with them like that just because they're dumb enough to keep messaging me. And so instead of blocking them, I just torture them a little bit because why not, you know? then they usually end up confessing, apologizing, and then I end up adding them to my friend list anyway from their actual account, not the fake one. And I've posted a few videos pertaining to that subject on here too. They have this weird delusion that women in America don't like talking to them because they're black. And I was like, no. I know a lot of women here in the U.S. that specifically don't like to date any man that isn't black. It's not a race issue. It's more or less a cultural issue, a language barrier, in addition to a wealth issue. I know personally if I fell in love with somebody in Nigeria, I'm screwed because I can't afford to go to Nigeria. I know that more often than not, fall in love with someone there, they can't afford to come here either. It becomes a big sticky mess. So I just prefer not to put myself in that position. But yeah, there are absolutely women in this country that would love to talk to, meet, and date a man from Nigeria just because that is their preference. And a lot of times, the accent, women in this country, and men do it too. We love a foreign accent usually. If they can speak their English well enough to understand them, the accent that comes along with it. But yeah, I, like I said, I've been scatterbrained. I'm overwhelmed with everything. I feel like I've got everything on my shoulders to do, yet I'm not feeling like I'm getting anything done, and it's driving me up a wall, really. I'm just hoping that things take a turn and actually get productive soon because I feel like stagnant is not moving, it's not productive. And I worry that it is going to start taking a toll on me. But I do have doctor appointments and stuff lined up as well while I'm still here too because I need to get that done because I put myself on a back burner with taking care of my dad and everything here. It's just that when I went to get the appointments, they didn't get me in for any sooner. So today's the 4th. I have an appointment Wednesday. And I'm going to talk to them about possibly needing medication maybe for ADHD because recently I've been having conversations with people on here and I am finding and seeing more and more that I actually think I have it. I really, really do. I drive myself crazy with having so many tasks to do and I start all of them and I don't finish anything and it makes me feel like I'm doing everything and then nothing at all. If they can give me medicine that can help me actually stay more focused and complete tasks, that would be lovely because I don't know why I didn't notice it or struggle with it this hard before, but I almost wonder if being in the position that I'm in where I'm by myself is actually kind of heightened it some to where it's becoming more of a struggle. And Lord knows I don't need life being more of a struggle. I just didn't plan on I didn't expect to be so criticized and so downed for trying to do what I felt was the right thing, doing what I felt was needed when I took care of my family. Like I said, I took care of my mother with lung cancer, my sister with, she had all kinds of issues. She was on oxygen. She ended up dying. I think they diagnosed it was with kidney disease that they did not catch. The first time she got diagnosed with it, I think, was the same day that they lost her. But I took care of her and then taking care of my dad. My brother, unfortunately, I don't know who was taking care of him because I didn't go take care of him because I knew that he was a drug addict and I knew that he had other drug addicts running in and out and staying at his place that he lived, and I couldn't put myself in that position. And that's the same way as being here. I wanted to reach out and help one of my second cousins that was here in town. I drove through town and I saw this person homeless sleeping on the courthouse steps. And I thought, oh my goodness, there's somebody, this, my hometown, I grew up here. We never saw that kind of stuff. And so here he was, and turned out he was related to me. He was one of my second cousins. And because of the stories that I had heard, he had apparently gotten a hold of a bad hit of heroin or something. And they said that he wasn't all there anymore mentally. So, with having my dad here at home disabled, I couldn't just scoop my cousin up off the steps and bring him home because I wasn't sure if he was going to be a danger to himself or to me or my dad. So I ended up having to contact other family, and one of my other second cousins was able to go down and scoop him up and took him home with him. But then he only stayed there for a day or two, and then now that we don't know where he went. We don't know where he disappeared to. It just, it's really sad what this world seems to be coming to, and it's like more and more every day. And it breaks my heart, it really does. Because I know that the same thing has happened to the cousin that was on the steps, because his grandparents died on the same day as each other, and then his mom passed away, and just in the last year or two, I think his dad finally went. So he and his brother are all that there is, and apparently they don't get along anymore or something. I don't know what's going on with that. But yeah, the whole feeling like your whole life is gone, everything you knew that was good and safe and felt like home and family, and now there's nothing. Yes, people are struggling to pay their bills. The economy is getting out of hand. Inflation is nuts. People are having conspiracy theories that they think that it's on purpose, that they're trying to do away with the lower class, the poverty level. I don't know that I fully believe the conspiracy theories, but man, it's really hard to fight against it when it seems like everything just keeps getting harder and harder. So, yeah. I just, I don't know. Find a few things out and get a few things done. If things turn around to where I can actually manage to get a place here and stay here, that would be my preference, just because I don't know for sure how to get all the way down to Florida. I'm willing to try it if, and she knows that. The lady that's asked me to come down there, she knows that I'm going to give it a full on try here first. If I can get into a place and try to get a job and do things and maintain it here, absolutely going to do that. I just want to have a little bit of a. The GoFundMe is basically for money to sit there and me not touch it until I decide I'm going to definitely go to Florida. And that's the reason why I have that up. Thank you. Because I don't know what I'm going to do. I mean, I'm hoping that I get the food stamps approved and finished or whatever. Because I just gave my dog the last bit of his dog food yesterday. And so here on out, it'll be fixing meals and sharing food with my puppy dog, because I don't have his dog food now. But he's 12 years old and he don't mind scraps. He don't mind table food. So luckily, that's a kind of a blessing. I did get them, but then I let them lapse because it was just me and my dad on his income. We didn't really need them, and then with everything else I was dealing with, I forgot to do the research full on. I only did part of it, so yeah, I ended up telling you, I've got to get everything figured out to where I can actually start focusing and getting things completed. That's the part that is really, I'm becoming my own worst enemy when it comes to not getting the shit done, basically. But yeah, I'm hoping that it'll get better. I'm hoping that everything will line out and get better. So I'm going to get I think the interview thing is the only thing I really have left. And from there, I'll figure out if they're going to give me any assistance or not. Because I think I uploaded the paperwork and everything. And then I sent papers into the IRS, and I've sent papers into Social Security is now telling me that I owe my dad's last payment back as well. So I don't even know what to do with that. It's $1,100 and something that they're saying that I owe back. I got his check on the 4th. He passed away on the 7th, but now they're telling me I have to pay it back. And I don't know how I'm going to do that when I have no money and no job right now. And if I go get a job, I don't know how much of it I'll actually get if I get paid, because they're liable to take that out of my paycheck just because I had just got assigned to be my dad's payee, because I had to go and get them to restart his benefits because they suspended his check because they changed the address in the system. It read blah blah Blueberry Lane, apartment 46. They decided that it should read Blueberry Lane and then the apartment number go on the next line. Well, they did that, and when they did that, the system flagged it, said wrong address, and it suspended my dad's benefits. So I had to go up there and prove to them and verify that we in fact didn't move, that he'd still had the address he's had for the last 10 years. And when I gave the address to the woman, she was like, oh my God, it's the same address. And I was like, yeah, it's the same address. All you did was reformat it. Somebody reformatted it, and it decided that it was a wrong address. So they had to just basically put it back the way that it had been in order to verify and get the benefits started back up. It's like, this man is 80, he was 86 years old. He'd been drawing a retirement check for over 30 years. Because, he was old enough that he took retirement before he was 60 or 55, something like that. Anyways, here this check is. He's been drawing it for 3 decades, and they screwed it up just because they wanted to reformat the address. It's crazy. Hi, Charlene. Did you not figure out how to change the password on your other account? You're going to end up having to have somebody help you with that, lady. But yeah, LaDonna, whenever I get to the age to be retired, I should be fine because I will be able to draw off of my ex-husband's work history. He's passed away, and his second wife is also gone. So there's nobody to fight me on it. Not that they could have anyway, but I don't have to worry about anybody giving me static when it comes time for me to draw on his Social Security. So that'll be a blessing, I think. Thank you. You have a good night too, and thank you for tuning in or dropping into my live. Charlene, I was married to him on paper for 13 years. I was with him for 16. But the math is weird. It's hard to explain. We were together for 16 years total. We were married for 13 when the divorce went through. And we were together married for 11 years when he left. Yeah. Oh yeah, I know. Trust me, I know. It pissed him and his wife off when they found out that I could draw off of his work history. Oh, I'm so sorry. I've never. All of my exes are dead and gone, except for the one that's with my cousin. I wasn't with them when they passed, though. I had to hear about it from other people. Are you flipping around everywhere, Paul? But yeah, I just figured that if anything, it gave me the perfect subject matter to jump in and do a live for my 1 hour uh, requirement or whatever. To just try to give the backstory, because I don't think a lot of people realize. Oh, but it was fun. I always get the ones that come in and accuse me of having cheek filler. I get the ones that come in asking me if I have a filter on for my eyes or a filter on for whatever. My son had SSI from the time he was 6 until he was 18, and then they took it away. So now he works uh, to take care of himself. Tried a couple of times to get it back for him just because he does have a history of epilepsy and he still struggles with the ADHD. But they said no. They said that while he is still disabled, he is not disabled enough to need an SSI check or apparently the medical card either. So I don't know. And my veneers are acting up tonight again. Oh well. And my lip gloss is waterproof, so it's like gumming up on me now. I can't help it. I like the color. I got it for like $1 and some change off of Temu. But yeah, someone actually tried to suggest that I sell the car and get a bus ticket and go to Florida. If I do that, then what do I do with my dog and my clothes and other things? That suggestion sounds good, but didn't really make much sense. Now I'm fighting with the lip stuff, really. That's what I was thinking, Paul. I'm thinking, what do I do when I get down there with no car then? I mean, it's in my dad's name, so I'll probably need to figure out what I can or can't do with it before I load up and take it to Florida. But I still have my power of attorney papers, so I'm assuming that they'll let me do something with it with that. Um, Other than that, I don't know. But yeah, how am I gonna sell the car and get a bus ticket and take my dog with me? I mean, I'm gonna have to take my dog, and I'll have to be able to stop at the truck stops and the rest areas and stuff. I'm still waiting on that. I don't have the death certificate yet. I'm assuming it's coming in the mail at some point. It's been a while since I've been the one to actually handle. Actually, I didn't handle the paperwork when anybody else died. When my sister died, my niece handled it, and my brother didn't have anything, so it took 3 months. My brother's poor soul, his body laid at the funeral home for at least 3 months before anybody came up with the money to get him cremated. He didn't have any insurance. His kids didn't want nothing to do with it. They actually filled out paperwork and faxed it to the funeral home, resolving them of any responsibility for it. My brother was not a very kind man, and he made a lot of enemies. As I'm sure most people who have drug problems and drug history and drug dealing backgrounds, and yeah, that's how that usually goes. Dad and I were sitting here and we had our hands tied. We couldn't afford to do anything for it either. The only reason why I didn't get saddled with the debt from having Dad cremated is because the insurance that had lapsed didn't diminish completely. It only, like, instead of being 5,000, it ended up being it was like $15 short of being $2,000. So it was just enough that $200 is all it took to finish paying it off. And so we got that paid off, and everything else was already paid for because Mom took care of it before she died. So the mausoleum, the opening and closing of the vault, all of that was already paid for. That's all they had to do was just put the ashes, put the urn in there next to her casket, and that was it. To which I didn't stick around and watch them do that, but apparently my nieces did, and they got it on video of them taking the thing off and putting it in there or whatever. It was kind of weird. I didn't know that they were going to do all that. Um, hey, Capone. Hi. But yeah, just hoping that once I do get everything situated, if I end up having to go to Florida, that I'm actually able to get there in one piece. Oh, thank you. I appreciate you. Oh, that noise always startles me. Damn it. I wasn't expecting that. Thank you. Hi, Ron. Welcome to my live. Thank you, Paul. Y'all are so sweet. Are you doing the check ins later, Capone? Thank you. Okie dokie. That noise, I'm telling you, it gets me every time. You don't know how much I appreciate you guys. You really don't. So I need to get up in the morning about 9 o'clock and get my butt on the phone, call that Snap number, make them do my interview over the phone. Because I know if I wake up in a good enough mood, I might just get dressed and walk. Well, not walk, I'll drive out there. Drive out to the SNAP office, yeah, the cabinet place, and get them to do the interview in person, maybe. I don't know. I forget that they actually have the office here because every place else I lived, they didn't really have an office available. So you had to do it online and on the phone or whatever. So there was one at Columbus, Indiana, where you go in to get it done in person, and instead of doing it in person, they had computers all lined up in the waiting area. They made you do it online anyway. Kentucky Dam. I don't know. We've got a few. I don't. Is there one specifically named Kentucky? Because I know there's a Dix Dam that's between here and Danville, but that's not. That's on the. That's a lake, not the river. Because I know here where I live, there's a place. It's a boat dock. It's called Valley View, and there's a lock down there. It's Lock 9, I think. Because Lock 8's the other direction towards Sugar Creek. Oh yeah, that's not anywhere near me. that was probably that was probably the Kentucky River. But I just wonder if it was an actual dam that you went to or if it was a lock. Did it have the thing where the boats go through? Because the locks usually, yeah. Then you were at a lock. They might have called it a dam, but it's a lock. The locks are where the boats go through, and it's fun. I don't know if you've ever seen one go through, but we used to go to the locks and watch them put the boats through. It's crazy to watch that thing fill up with water and just set the boat, and watching those big ass doors turn into gates and just close, and yeah. Scary as hell to stand on top of the damn thing, though. I was always afraid I was going to fall in and get hurt. I used to go swimming in that water till I was old enough to see what came out of that water, and then I was like, oh, hell no. Never, never, never again. No. They caught gars. Gars came out of there. Do you know gars have teeth? I was like, oh, no, not going back in there. Those things could decide. No, fish are like people, or just, like any other animal. What if I get in there and that one gar decides to just take a big chunk out of my ass? I know, I'm not doing that. I'm not going back in the water. No, can't do it. If I can't see through the water in a swimming pool, I am not swimming in it no more. There was one night, that's all anybody was catching was those gars. I was like, damn, we found a school of them or something, because that's all they were pulling in. And then you had the catfish. Oh, no. Terrified. Terrified of catfish. Those things will sting the shit out of you. Oh, Charlene. That's like the funnest thing ever is just jump in the water and swim. Catfish taste good, but I ain't trying to catch them and clean them and that. No, no. Ain't doing it. Ain't doing it. My ex-husband liked to go hunting, and he shot and killed a squirrel once, and it fell, and I was with him, and it fell like a good maybe 8 feet from me on the ground. No, I didn't go do that no more neither. I didn't know what the hell. It's like, yeah, no. I was there to go hunting with you, but I was not there to be like have shit drop on my head almost. That was too close. That poor little squirrel. I always accused him of going snipe hunting though, because he'd go spend hours sitting up in the damn tree trying to hunt for deer. Never caught nothing. He never shot nothing. He'd bow and arrow. Yeah, no. The only time he ever successfully took out a deer is he killed one that somebody hit on the side of the road and he had to put it out of its misery. All right. I think I'm going to take a break off of here for now, guys. I think I'm going to close it down. I definitely will be back on later. But for now, I think I'm going to try to find some dinner, make sure my dog eats, because like I said, I ran out of his dog food last night. So I've got to feed him today. No, Charlene. I accused him of going snipe hunting because he always came home empty handed. And told him that he was just out there sitting in a tree snipe hunting because he didn't have nothing. I will. I've got stuff in there. Probably grilled cheese sandwich or something, but that's about it. Yes, Charlene, snipe hunting is what you tell them when they don't find anything. When they come home empty handed, that they were hunting for something that doesn't exist. It was a way to be a smart ass, basically. Sarcasm is my love language. So, yeah, I told him he was snipe hunting. And sarcasm, again, he would sit and make this awful coughing noise. And it wasn't an actual cough, it was just a habit he had of making himself cough. I used to tell him to puke or die because he was making too much noise. But yeah, my mom said I was mean, but there was a backstory. There was an inside joke to it. So he didn't get offended like that, but I used to tell him to puke or die already. He was making too much noise. All right, guys, I'm going to hop off, go fix me and my puppy something to eat. And I'll probably, if I don't get back on before the 9 o'clock check in, I will definitely be on after the 9 o'clock check in. All right, guys, I love you. I'll be back soon.